Okay, so you do not need to create a diagram for coffee beans.
In fact, it's kind of confusing.
Okay, it can be confusing. What's more important is that you understand what the sentences are saying, because they didn't do any like mixing around the if-then statements until the very end, and even then it was something that you could probably figure out intuitively. The problem with diagramming, obviously diagram stuff, but the problem with diagramming is that if you could have done the question without diagramming, then as soon as you start diagramming, your intuition shuts down, right? You just completely rely on the diagram. So I would try to understand the passage as well as you could without diagramming, because it'll force you to try to keep that information in your head and think about what it's saying. And then only bring diagramming to the table when you're like, I'm really starting to lose it here and I can't keep all this information. But if you instantly go to that, then you lose the opportunity to try to understand it intuitively. And diagramming in the context of understanding something intuitively is much more useful than when you don't understand, at least on some level, what's going on. Constance?
I was just going to ask, what do you think of a strategy of, like, sometimes I'll read this little, like, the sentence, the question, before reading the passage, so that when I go into the passage, I know, like, am I looking for a flaw in this argument?
Mm-hmm.
Am I looking for all this to just be true?
I don't like that at all.
No.
And the reason I don't like that is because, kind of for the same reason that I don't want to just start diagramming, is I really want to understand what the passage is saying, and then once I understand that, I'm ready for whatever question or whatever direction they want me to go. Whereas I feel like sometimes we can overthink this. We can think like, oh, I need to look for the role of this particular thing, or I need to look for a flaw or whatever. Like, that is important, but it's less important than understanding what it's saying. Because a lot of these things are just like nuances, and if you're trying to like find the assumption or whatever, you might miss what's the real critical part, which is what makes the harder questions like hard, because they come down to like these two answer choices, and I think that can be missed if you're not just 100% focused on, do I get it? So I don't do that for that reason. In my mind, I was thinking to myself, I said, hey, look, if the price it pays for coffee beans continues to increase, so if the price continues to go up, then the coffee shop will have to increase its prices. That makes sense. So far, so good? Okay, coffee bean prices go up, then store prices go up. In that case is like if, right? If that happens, if the store prices go up, then either the coffee shop will begin selling non-coffee products or its coffee sales will decrease. Okay, if the store prices continue to rise, right, if the coffee bean prices go up, then the store prices will go up. If they go up, then they're either going to have to start selling other things like crackers, or they're going to have to, its coffee sales will decrease. That makes sense. Their prices are going up. So far, so good? Okay, so we have a chain so far. Then it says, but selling non-coffee products will decrease the coffee shop's overall profitability. Okay, so we had event led to an event, which led to two possible events. And we're now told about one of those events, and we're going to say, hey, overall store profitability goes down in that event. Sound good? When you start selling non-coffee products. Is everyone following along? Okay? Then we don't need a diagram. So far, so good. Then it says that, moreover, the coffee shop can avoid a decrease in overall profitability only if its coffee sales do not decrease. That is probably the most wordy part of this passage, right? If intuition does not allow you to understand that sentence, then I might consider diagramming this sentence. Did anyone diagram this sentence? You can take the arrow and put it right through the only if, right? So the coffee shop can avoid a decrease. If you avoid a decrease, you what?
You avoid a decrease, you increase?
Or stay at.
Or
you just don't decrease. Yeah, so you could stay the same. or you could go up. But yeah, we don't decrease. So overall profitability decreasing does not happen. If that does not happen, then, because remember only if equals then, its coffee sales do not decrease. So coffee sales decreasing does not happen. Now that's a double, there's a lot of negatives going on there. So what's the contrapositive?
If the sales decrease, then the overall profitability decreases.
Sales decrease, then overall profitability decreases. Sound good? Just switching and negating. Now notice that this sentence makes a lot more sense and it ties into those two events. Remember, if the coffee beans prices go up, then the store prices will go up. If the store prices go up, then we're going to have one of two options. We're either going to have to sell non-coffee products or we're going to have to see our sales go down, our coffee sales go down. If we sell non-coffee products, what happens?
Profitability goes down.
Overall profitability goes down. And now, according to this sentence, if our sales go down, our coffee sales go down, overall profitability will go down. So, bottom line, if that first thing happens, then all this other stuff will happen, and it will ultimately lead to overall profitability going down. Sound good? Now, if that's still confusing, just really quick, beans go up, that would mean prices go up, which would mean either non-coffee products are sold or sales go down, right? And we know that if you sell non-coffee products, overall profitability will go down. And we now know that if sales go down, overall profitability will go down. So this was the first event, and it basically leads to overall profitability going down no matter what.
When you do two arrows coming from P, one goes to S, one goes to
I wouldn't, because it's an or. Like either this will happen or that will happen. Two arrows would mean and. Like both of those things will happen. Okay, so given that, will overall profitability go down? If this happens or either one of these happens, right? But we don't know whether those things will happen. Answer choice A. If the coffee shop's overall profitability decreases, why can't I stop reading right now?
You don't know.
Overall profitability decreasing is what kind of condition?
Necessary.
It's a necessary condition. It is not sufficient for anything, right? There is nothing that comes after it. And so when you make it a sufficient condition in A, you're like, I can't say what's going to happen if O goes down, so I don't even need to finish reading this answer choice. Same thing happens with answer choice B. If overall profitability goes down, we're like, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen then, so this answer cannot be correct. Answer choice C, the coffee shop's overall profitability will decrease if, and that's crucial, if the price it pays for coffee beans continues to increase. Yeah, if this increases, then eventually this will decrease. That's the correct answer. So far, so good? Okay? Now, answer choice D. So that's right, but let's keep going. The price it pays for coffee beans cannot decrease without the coffee shop's overall profitability also decreasing. No, if the price it pays for coffee beans decreases, then maybe overall profitability would go up. I have no idea. That would be a false contrapositive, but it's certainly a possibility. Right? If coffee beans prices go down, that seems like a good thing for the store, not a bad thing. Was anyone tempted by E? Either the price it pays for coffee beans will continue to increase, either this will go up, or the coffee sales will increase. This is not a binary thing. You could have this going up and that happen, or whatever, right? So, Liz, question? Okay, cool. All right, any other questions on this one? I drew this out so we'd all be on the same page, but you definitely do not need to do that, and I felt like that we were following along up front. You just have to kind of slow down with some of these chains and just make sure you're keeping track of what's going on.